Hello and welcome. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. It is just after 4:30 a.m. in New Delhi, midnight in London, 7 in the evening in Washington, D.C. And you're watching a special broadcast here on DD India. Over the next 90 minutes, we'll get you the latest on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Trinidad and Tobago. We'll take you live to Port of Spain for the Prime Minister's address to the Indian diaspora. He would shortly be reaching the venue of the event. The Prime Minister reached Port of Spain a few hours ago after concluding a two-day visit to Ghana. The Caribbean island is the second leg of his five-nation tour of the Global South. All right then, let's get started. So Prime Minister Modi is now in Trinidad and Tobago. He was welcomed by the country's Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bharati and her entire cabinet. 38 ministers and 4 lawmakers were present at the airport to receive Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi was given a ceremonial welcome at the airport. It is his first visit to the country as the Prime Minister of India and the first such bilateral visit as the Prime Ministerial level from India to TNT since 1999. In his departure statement, the Prime Minister had said that this visit will provide an opportunity to rejuvenate the special bonds of ancestry and kinship that unite the peoples of these two countries. The Prime Minister will hold talks with President Christine Carla Kangulu and Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bharati. He is also expected to address a joint session of Trinidad and Tobago's Parliament. The Prime Minister was welcomed by the Indian diaspora at his hotel. People lined up to welcome him. Patriotic slogans reverberated as the Prime Minister interacted with the diaspora. Later, the Prime Minister wrote on X that many people from India made their way to Trinidad and Tobago years ago. Over the years, they distinguished themselves in several fields and are enriching Trinidad and Tobago's developmental journey. At the same time, they've retained a connection with India and are also passionate about Indian culture. Now, India and Trinidad and Tobago share a deep-rooted historical, cultural and people-to-people connect. My colleague Akshay Dongre filed this report from Port of Spain.
This visit, at the invitation of Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bharati, comes at a time when India is actively expanding its global footprint through partnerships rooted in culture, commerce, and cooperation. With over 40% of Trinidad and Tobago's population being of Indian descent, the emotional and cultural resonance of this visit is immense. The Indian diaspora, some tracing their roots back 5 generations, continues to play a vital role in the country's social and economic fabric. Trinidad and Tobago is also home to a growing number of first-generation Indian entrepreneurs, many of whom see this visit as a chance to boost trade and investment between the two nations.
Prime Minister Modi, I think, is one of the more admired leaders in the world. I think we as Indians are very happy with what the progress that we see India making. The people of Trinidad, the Indian people in Trinidad, have always identified very closely with their Indian culture. It's going to strengthen the ties, I think, and I think people are going to identify with it, and I think it will probably push it even further.
The country is very happy to have a visit like him, such a high-profile visit. And it's something that I think a lot of bilateral talks can happen and a lot of trade that can happen for this country. And it could benefit a lot for this country as well. And not only for Trinidad, Tobago, but for the rest of the Caribbean islands as well. And it'll be something that it's a good thing.
During his stay, Prime Minister Modi is expected to hold high-level talks with both President Christine Carla Kangalu and Prime Minister Prasad Bharati. He will also address a special joint session of Parliament, underscoring the importance of this partnership rooted in shared democratic values and historic ties.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Trinidad and Tobago is not just a diplomatic event, it's also a celebration of a people that came to this land 180 years back as indentured labourers and through resilience, strength and endurance have shaped their destiny to become entrepreneurs, policymakers and leaders of this country. With camera person Mohit Uike at Port of Spain in Trinidad and Tobago, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
The Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago are, as usual, visibly excited to welcome Prime Minister Modi for the community event. Take a listen to their reactions.
I'm very excited that Modi's coming here because when he went in Guyana, I was here. So I missed that opportunity to meet him. So now I'm very, very excited, and I hope the visit will be a very productive one.
I feel proud to know that the Prime Minister of India is here in our country visiting today. I'm excited about it. I think it will be very good and it will work out in the future for us.
Such a momentous occasion to welcome Prime Minister Modi to Trinidad. It's actually a very wonderful event because it makes our ties to India even stronger.
And joining us are two very special guests, Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar and Professor Ajay Kumar Dubey. Ambassador Sajanhar is a former Indian envoy to Kazakhstan, Sweden and Latvia. And Professor Dubey teaches at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Gentlemen, welcome to this special broadcast. Good to have you join this discussion. Let's get in opening comments from both of you. Ambassador Sajanhar, to you first. Why don't I begin by asking you to give our viewers an overview of India's ties with the Caribbean in general and Trinidad and Tobago in particular.
Yes, thank you very much, Ramesh, for having me.
Welcome.
You're very right. India's ties with the Caribbean are very special. It is not a coincidence that Prime Minister Modi was here in this region just 8 months ago. He visited Guyana for the second India CARICOM summit, and the fact that the second summit took place soon after the India CARICOM summit was launched is also an indication of the attention that India is paying to this region. I feel ever since Prime Minister Modi came to power in 2014, there has been a definite attempt to reach out far and wide to even smaller countries and groups of smaller countries. So it is in that context that Prime Minister Modi is here. Of course, Trinidad and Tobago, as your correspondent who is in Port of Spain at the moment, he has mentioned, is very unique. It's a very special relationship because more than 40% of the residents, of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, they come from, they owe their origins to India. This is a very historical time, a historical moment 180 years ago. That is in 1845, the first Indian indentured labor had arrived in Trinidad and Tobago. And as we would have it, both the President and the Prime Minister of the country, they are both of Indian descent, both of Indian origin. People of Indian origin have done extremely well for themselves in diverse fields. We can see that in the area of politics, but also in the area of business, academia, entrepreneurship, professions. They have done exceedingly well and highly respected. So the visit by the Prime Minister coming here since after 1999, that is more than a quarter of a century. I think that's a very significant event, take our ties to a higher level. And of course, today there is much uncertainty in the world, but there are many challenges and opportunities in the world. So I think Prime Minister Modi's visit and his interactions with the leadership, with the Prime Minister and the President, as also with others, will provide a good, strong impetus to the bilateral ties. Lastly, Prime Minister Modi is going to address the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and this will give an opportunity to, for him to tell the people as to what has happened in India over the last 10 years, where does India stand, and how can the partnership be taken forward. This is also an indication of the high respect in which both India and Prime Minister Modi are held by the people and leadership of Trinidad and Tobago.
Indeed. Before we get into specifics, Professor Dubey, would you like to tell our viewers about why the Caribbean matters, why Trinidad and Tobago matters?
Yes, I think the presence of Indian diaspora in such large number in so many countries, in Trinidad and Tobago, where they are around 44%, in Guyana, where you have substantial, almost around 50%. We have also Jamaica, where you have substantial number. In all these places, the presence of people of Indian origin in such a large number makes them a very easy connect for us. The second thing is that this diaspora is also located not vis-a-vis some host or son of the soil. The other community who are here, they are also a diaspora. They are diaspora from African countries. So it's the two sets of community especially, and the third one which has emerged out of them, the Creole community who are members there. Why it is important for India? Because despite presence of such a substantial number of people of Indian origin, our access and our approach to Indian diaspora in Caribbean was not as much as it was required during Congress period, because of the distance and because of the policy of active dissociation that Congress party under Nehru followed. But since BJP came to power, Prime Minister Bajpayee came to power, Indian diaspora became an asset for India to connect, and therefore diaspora served as a social capital in international relations, as a catalyst to promote bilateral relations, catalyst to promote regional relations, and therefore strengthening that ties, utilizing that assets, and reaching out to people of Indian origin who are very, very keen to link with India, because they have preserved their Indian culture far more than what they say they have preserved, what they say India has preserved so far.
Right.
It is important that we have reached out to Prime Minister Modi visit, second time in the region with a gap of 8 months, is very important to give that message that we are now going to connect strongly with the region and people over there.
Right, so we have the opening comments in from our guests, Ambassador Janhar and Professor Dubey. I'll request them to stay on. I'll come back to them momentarily. In the meantime, let me give our viewers a brief history of Trinidad and Tobago and the Indian diaspora. Now, the country attained independence from Britain in 1962. It is one of the most prosperous in the Caribbean, thanks largely to petroleum and natural gas production and processing. The relationship between India and Trinidad and Tobago goes back to 1845, when the first ship carrying 225 Indian indentured workers reached the shores of Trinidad, then a British colony. Now, their numbers increased with subsequent arrival of more ships from India till 1917. The descendants of those indentured workers, now in their 5th or 6th generation, form more than 40% of the total population of 1.36 million. They constitute an integral part of the economic, political and social fabric of the country. This year, the diaspora is celebrating 180 years of the arrival of the first group of their ancestors. While on the subject of diaspora, the President and Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago are of Indian origin. Kamala Prasad Bhattacharya is the Prime Minister. Christine Carla Kangaloo is the President. Prime Minister Modi is the first foreign leader to congratulate Prime Minister Bhattacharya after her election win this year. As for President Kangaloo, she remotely joined the Prasar Bharati Divas as the chief guest this year. She was conferred the Prasar Bharati Samman Award. The Prasar Bharati Divas means Overseas Indian Day in Hindi. It celebrates the contribution of the overseas Indian community towards the development of India. It is celebrated on the 9th of January. The day commemorates the return of Mahatma Gandhi from South Africa to Bombay on the 9th of January, way back in 1915. And in the next report, my colleague Akshay Dongre traces the journey of the Indian diaspora to Trinidad and Tobago.
On the 30th of May 1845, the Fatal Razak arrived in Trinidad carrying 225 Indian indentured laborers or Girmitiyas, the dawn of a transformative chapter in the Twin Island nation's history. 1845, the Fatal Razak arrives in Trinidad and Tobago with 225 Indians. 1845 to 1917, 143,939 indentured laborers landed in Trinidad and Tobago. 1902, over half of sugarcane farming managed by Indians. 1962, diplomatic ties formalized post-independence. 2025, Indian Trinidadians and Tobagonians form 42% of the population. Over 180 years, the Indian diaspora preserved its culture, built thriving communities, and now stands proudly at the nation's helm, with Indian origin Kamala Prasad Bhattacharya as Prime Minister of the nation. Clearly, though the Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago had a hard landing on the nation's shores, it has weathered many a storm to emerge at the top of its society.
Primarily, our forefathers came from Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, and they brought with them a lot of folk traditions, including their Ramcharitamanas, which is still hugely popular here in Trinidad and Tobago. Our forefathers were simple but profound persons. They were simple in the skills that they came with, but they were very profound in the value system that they came with.
Earlier this year, Prime Minister Modi, speaking in Mauritius on the Girmitiyas or indentured laborers, recounted the hardships of the community and how, despite the difficulties, the Girmitiyas kept their culture alive.
आपको जानकर खुशी होगी कि भारत सरकार गिरमिटिया साथियों का एक डेटाबेस बनाने पर काम कर रहा है। मॉरिशस और गिरमिटिया कम्युनिटी से जुड़े अन्य देशों के साथ मिलकर भारत इंडेंचर्ड लेबर रूट्स अंकित करने पर भी काम करेगा।
This year, the Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago is celebrating 180 years of the first indentured laborers landing in the nation.
Well, geographically, India and Trinidad and Tobago are thousands of miles apart. Culturally, they're as close as two countries can be together. And that is due to the living bridge of Indian diaspora that resides here, that has built this country and now comprise about 40% of the total population of this Caribbean country. And this unprecedented and historic visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to bring the two countries even closer together, economically, culturally, and in several other aspects of society. And this is also going to write a new chapter in the ties between the two beautiful nations. With camera person Moidoiki, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Ambassador Sajanhar, as you were saying earlier on in your intervention there, the TNT is home to a large Indian diaspora. So building up upon what you said, are they truly a living bridge between the peoples of India and Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, Ramesh, I think it is. You know, it's a oft-quoted saying, but it is definitely more than a cliche. that you can take an Indian out of India, but you cannot take India out of him, of the individual, you know, so that a person can go out. So I think these people, and you know, it's been my experience having traveled and lived in many other countries, that that is what your correspondent was also earlier saying, that no, I think Professor Dubey was saying, that it is these people have preserved Indian culture, Indian tradition, Indian customs, Indian thoughts. They think in much better ways, and they have been in much more authentic manner than they feel that India has been able to do. And in many ways, this is true, you know, whether it is in this region, Suriname, or if you go to even to Netherlands and you have the people from Suriname who've come there, the manner in which they preserve their dress, you know, attire, maintain their attire, their cuisine, their religious practices, they are they are rooted in the past. Of course, they have moved with the present, but in terms of the traditions and beliefs, that has been my experience, in fact, even in the United States, that people are, you know, preserve and their past, their traditions. And I think in that context, definitely the value systems, as one of the persons who was interviewed, who said that our people were simple who came, but they were hardworking and they had very strong values, and these values they have sought to transfer to the coming generations, and this is what we can see. So whether it is their fondness, it is their longing, even as far as the you know, to connect with India, even the Prime Minister and the President, they consider themselves to be both of them proud daughters of India. So this is truly a living bridge on which you know, much superstructures can be constructed, can be created. Of course, that serves as the foundation, that serves as the basis. But of course, as I was mentioning, the opportunities today in the area of business, in the area of technology are so much greater. India has made so much more progress in all these fields which it can share, and it is happy to share with other countries, and particularly so with the countries like Trinidad and Tobago and others in the region who have such a large proportion of Indian diaspora for their benefit, because there is a natural connect that we can see between India and the people of these countries, and particularly Trinidad and Tobago. And here we can also see that, you know, India is the only living civilization, because, you know, what informed, what motivated us, let's say 5,000 years ago, it is the same value systems that continue to be with us and continue to be with them. So this is definitely a very strong bond between the two countries and the two people.
Indeed. Professor Dubey, while we are waiting for the Prime Minister to begin his address to the Indian diaspora in Port of Spain, if I may ask you, what do you make of the Prime Minister's outreach to the diaspora everywhere he goes? It's become a regular feature of his foreign visits.
See, as I was saying that before BJP came to power, the policy of India was to actively dissociate with Indian diaspora for various reasons which were, you know, outcome of the time. But after BJP came to power, reaching out to diaspora, connecting with them, cultural links with them, and the civilization links with them was something that was very much on agenda of BJP. Prime Minister Modi initiated this activity in a very aggressive way, which Prime Minister Bajpayee had started during his term. And therefore, the reaching out to diaspora became additional dimensions of India's foreign policy, and additional asset for India in terms of deploying its foreign policy resources and instruments. And it is in this connection that one finds that Prime Minister Modi, wherever he goes, the diaspora connect is an important factor. The fact that India is rising, Prime Minister Modi is recognized as one of the top leaders in terms of pushing Indian development and leading Indian development, that he is respected so much. And the fact that the BJP and Prime Minister Modi also supports aggressively the diaspora, reach out, treats them as heritage resource, as social capital to promote bilateral relations. It enables countries like India to reach out globally, where people of Indian origin are spread for more than 101 countries, and they are in substantial number for more than 50 countries. So this diaspora reach out is a new initiative under globalization which India has started. But at the same time, we should see it's just not India. Under globalization, several other countries also started reaching out to their diaspora. It became a much more secular kind of concept. It was not seen as vociferous or divisive effort, which was during the Cold War period. It was seen as a mover of globalization and a fact that different communities welcome. Initially, there were some hesitations, but gradually when most of countries started reaching out to their diaspora, it became an acceptable fact, and all the resistance that was there for India reaching out to many Indian diaspora communities who are situated into multicultural setup became much more easy for India, because those countries are also reaching out to their diaspora. And Indian diaspora is more, acceptable community in different countries, and therefore it is not seen as something which is divisive and is not integrated with the local community, though they maintain their culture very strongly.
Indeed, just to inform our viewers watching this broadcast, we are standing by for the Prime Minister's address to the diaspora in Port of Spain, the capital of Trinidad and Tobago. We'll take you live to that event when it becomes available. But in the meantime, let me pull up some more news for you. Now, a former Minister of Industry, Enterprise and Tourism of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Doordarshan Tiwari, spoke exclusively to DD India about how the diaspora celebrates diversity. Take a listen.
All manner of people from the Middle East, from Europe, from the Americas in this country. So we also celebrate our Indianness, our Indian civilization, but we also celebrate diversity. We have a lot of respect for diversity and multiracial and tolerance and existence with each other. And we look forward to a better world. And we see no better place to start than with good relations with India as a beginning, and connecting with India, the African continent, South America, Latin America. Those are good things, I think, and creating opportunities for the developing world.
And Dr. Tiwari also spoke of Trinidad and Tobago's willingness to work with India on sustainable development strategies, especially for small island developing states.
India is playing an important role and playing an important role in the development in the developing world. And I think she's playing a leadership role. And we would be happy to work with India, I think, as an island state, as a small island state, as you mentioned, on sustainable development strategies, especially for small states and island states.
And the Indian High Commissioner Pradeep Rajpurohit spoke to my colleague Akshay Dongre about the cultural and historic similarities between the two countries and how both countries can benefit from closer cooperation.
We have a very special guest with us, the Indian High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Pradeep Rajpurohit. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with us. It was in 1962 when the diplomatic ties were established between the two countries. And since then, a lot has been achieved, but a lot has to be achieved as well. So what are the areas of cooperation do you think can be enhanced with this visit?
There are complementarities. Trinidad and Tobago, as you know, has been an oil and gas rich country, and down the line they have dominated their sectors, but they are now looking to diversify their economy, and a number of areas where they are looking for collaboration with us. This includes areas like renewable energy, health and pharmaceuticals, education, modern agriculture, technologies, trade, capacity building, and many more.
How do you think this brings the two countries closer together diplomatically and in other aspects as well of economy, trade, culture?
For that, you have to understand Trinidad and Tobago's demography. They are, half of them, about 40-45% of their population is of Indian origin. Yes. And you will see that it's a mini Bharat here. You have all the festivals, the food, the cuisine, you see the clothes, apparels, everywhere around you see deep imprint of India, our culture, tradition, all around. Very recently, that in April, they had the general election. The new party, United National Congress, has come to power, and this has largely dominated by the Indian community.
Prime Minister has made India a rising star in front of the world. Also, he has talked about the global south, and India and both Trinidad and Tobago are part of this. So do you think that this visit is going to amplify that further?
Well, as you see, as India is the largest country in South Asia, similarly, Trinidad and Tobago is the largest country in terms of population and in terms of economy in this part of the what we call CARICOM region. And they have similar priorities, developing countries, in terms of the priorities of the global south, sustainable development, climate change, disaster management, and several other areas. There are convergence of views. They are leading voices in their respective regions. There have been close collaboration and close working together in many of these areas. So this is a very opportune occasion that the leaders from both the countries are going to meet and discuss many of these issues which are at the top of the priorities of the global south.
The Indian High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Pradeep Rajpurohit, with us, talking to us about all the aspects of Prime Minister's visit, with camera person Mohit and Saurav Shukla, Akshay Dongre for DD India.
Ambassador Sajanhar, what are some of the issues that will likely figure in Prime Minister Modi's discussions in Port of Spain?
I think both bilateral as well as regional as well as global. And on the bilateral thing, aspects, I think definitely it will be the economic cooperation, economic participation. How is it that can be enhanced, that can be increased? And this has increased. Our bilateral trade exchanges have increased from just in the 2 digits to about $600 million, a few years ago. So they have increased very rapidly. As you mentioned yourself, Ramesh, this is a very prosperous economy. It's a very prosperous country. Even when it was first occupied by the British, and sugarcane became the plantation. Sugarcane was really a money spinner at that time, and that is what initially provided it with all the riches and the well-being in the country. But of late, it has been more the fossil fuels, it's been oil, it's been gas, it's been the processing of those. So it's a prosperous country. And so it would be looking forward in terms of moving up the technology ladder. So I think those areas, also in the area of manufacturing. So whether it is healthcare, whether it is pharmaceuticals, that is an area in which India has specialization. Human resource development, capacity building, we give a great deal of support to Trinidad and Tobago in the area of ITEC scholarships, ICCR scholarships. ITEC is India Technical and Economic Cooperation, under which the professionals from Trinidad and Tobago are brought to India in some of our most premier institutions to provide them with training. And it is in very, very diverse areas, very diverse fields where they can go back and be of greater benefit and service to their own people. And of course, the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, it can be in the area of Hindi, Sanskrit, classical dances, academic pursuits. So those are definitely areas. In the area of technology, the digital public infrastructure, UPI, because that is something that we have been promoting, and there is keen interest amongst other countries also to benefit from what India has been able to achieve. So definitely on that scale. But on the global scale, it would be on peace and security. It would definitely be also on Global South, how it can work together. India has emerged as the voice of the Global South in recent years. Of course, South-South cooperation was a very strong element of our foreign policy even earlier. But I think in the current day context, in the modern context, the positioning that Prime Minister Modi has provided to it when we became the president of G20, I think that has been very significant. So in terms of how the Global South can come together and work together, that will definitely be an issue of discussion between the two sides. Also, peace and security in the world, multilateral institutions, global governance. I think those are all issues because that will come up for discussion. And of course, how to further strengthen, both as you mentioned,
Ambassador, I hate to interrupt you there. Let's go live now to Port of Spain for the community event.
Please remain standing for the national anthems of both Bangladesh, India, and that of Trinidad and Tobago. Please remain standing as I kindly request both Prime Ministers, apne aasan grahan lijiye. I kindly ask both Prime Ministers to please take their seats. अपने आसन पर ग्रहण लीजिए. Please be seated. देवियों और सज्जनों, ladies and gentlemen, मैं आप सभी लोगों को प्रणाम करता हूं और सभी लोगों का हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं. My humble prostrations and a warm welcome to each and everyone. All protocols observed. Pranams to all the heads and officials of Trinidad and Tobago and the visiting heads and officials of Bangladesh. It is indeed my honor and privilege and an opportunity for a grandson of the Jahaji indenture, एक छोटा सा गांव हिलसा जिला बिहार से हमारे पूर्वज आए, to welcome the Pradhan Mantri of Bangladesh to our shores, the respected entourage, the current High Commissioner Mananiya Rajpurohit ji and staff. We are here this evening to celebrate not just a state visit, but a timeless bond, a bridge between two proud nations, Bangladesh of India and Trinidad and Tobago. Tonight we are truly honored to have with us two distinguished leaders who exemplify Bala, strength, Drishti, vision, or Ekata, unity. Two leaders who share similar growth in public affairs that reads like a narrative from an ancient text. Barefooted, whether tilling the soil, planting the rice fields, the lagoon as we call it, or selling chai on the pathway of life, making these footsteps from humble beginnings to honorable prime ministers of different countries in the world. I extend a warm swagatam, a warm welcome to the Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Bangladesh, Shri Narendra Modi ji, and our very own Honorable Prime Minister, the beloved Kamala Prasad Bharati. This is not just a diplomatic occasion, but a cultural homecoming. As we all know, 180 साल पहले, 180 years ago, हमारे पूर्वजों बाहर से छोड़ करके, भारत देश से छोड़ करके, ये देश पहुंच गए. They arrived here on the shores of Trinidad and Tobago. They brought with them not just manual labor in the cane fields, but a bhasha, a language, a cuisine that is infectious, a music, a value system that continue to enrich the Trinidad and Tobago soil and society. That legacy lives on in the Ram Leela, in the beats of the tacit drums, Bhojpuri folk songs, various dance art forms, Holi, Deepavali, and the list goes on. Prime Minister Modi's presence here today is a recognition of the enduring connection. It is my privilege to invite our Honorable Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamala Prasad Bharati, a lawyer, a long-standing politician, and the second-time Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's stand as we welcome on stage Shri Kamala Prasad Bharati, Honorable Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Can I say namaste, Sitaram, good evening, everyone. Our very distinguished guest of honor, Shri Narendra Modi ji, Prime Minister of the Republic of India. Honorable Jai Shankar, Minister of Foreign Affairs, all other ministers and the delegation from the Republic of India, Cabinet Ministers, Parliamentary Secretaries, His Excellency, High Commissioner of India and his lovely wife, and may I say, His Excellency, the High Commissioner of India, has worked really hard with us. Can we give him a round of applause, please? All senior government officials, distinguished guests, members of the Indian diaspora, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, I say again, Namaste, Sitaram, and good evening. This evening, we are graced by the presence of someone near and dear to us. We are graced by a leader whose visit is not just a matter of protocol, but a profound honor for us. And so I am deeply privileged to join everyone here to welcome one of the world's most respected, most admired, visionary leaders, the Honorable Shri Narendra Modi ji, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, and his delegation on this very historic state visit to Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Modi, your presence is a great inspiration to all of us, particularly to the Indo-Trinidadian community, whose roots are planted in the same blessed Indian soil from which you emerged. This special community diaspora event is part of a packed schedule of official engagements, including an address to a joint assembly of our parliament, and that will take place tomorrow, as well as the signing of several memoranda of understanding between our two nations. So tonight we honor the revered cultural and familial bonds between our people. These bonds transcend time and distance, uniting us in a shared history and a shared future. Prime Minister Modi, you are a transformational force who has refined governance of India and positioned your country as a prominent and dominant global power. Through your visionary and futuristic initiatives, you have modernized the Indian economy. You have empowered over 1 billion citizens, and above all, you have instilled pride in the hearts of all Indians all over the world. And yet it's not only your governance, sir, but it's your reverence for heritage that has brought us together tonight. On your first visit to our country, you were not then Prime Minister, but as part, a cultural ambassador as part of the World Hindu Conference in 2002. Today, sir, you return as the head of a government of more than 1.4 billion people. You return as a distinguished and celebrated leader whose influence transcends boundaries. We bow to you, sir. What inspires this gathering most is your enduring commitment to the Indian diaspora, promoting culture, history, and the spirit of our shared journey. The ties that bind India and Trinidad and Tobago are not merely diplomatic in nature. These are ties of ancestry, of kinship, of sacrifice, and of love. We are bound by history, by shared struggle, and we're bound by common dreams. The journey that began 180 years ago in 1845 with the arrival of Fatal Razak at Nelson Island has evolved into a story of resilience, transformation, and success. Those early Indian migrants left behind everything except their language, their faith, and their culture. They crossed the Kalapani, the dark waters, once believed to sever the soul from the sacred. But today, we have reimagined that journey. We have moved from Kalapani to Pana Bandhan, waters of unity. Water not as a divider, but as a bond that unites our people. And in this spirit, we embrace ocean of unity, an enduring oceanic connection between India and Trinidad and Tobago. We hear We here are the grandchildren of Mother India, separated by oceans, but always remain united by enduring love and respect. This union is best captured in a poem, sir, that you once wrote, Sri Modi ji. And I will share some of the words from your poem. In the recesses of my mind, I travel far into the past, and each face I see unfolds a memory. My recall comes with ease, each visage easily recognized. Nothing stays hidden, for this is the truth plain to see, that our companions, with whom we suffered, never forgotten, together endured those sufferings. They become the journey in the end. Yes, Sri Modi, our people have suffered, but they have endured. And their endurance became the foundation of our nations. Somewhere in the distant echoes of time, somewhere in the annals of history, our ancestors are rejoicing at your visit, whispering through the winds of memory, their spirits stirred by the sacred reunion of their scattered children. This blessed moment affirms what we already know. The ties that bind our two nations are truly unbreakable. Under your leadership, India has extended its hand to the world, but never more so through your compassion, through your benevolence, with the vaccines initiative 4 years ago. When COVID-19 pandemic brought the world to its knees, while some other countries were hoarding medical supplies, you, sir, you ensured that vaccines and supplies reach even the smallest nations, including Trinidad and Tobago. Through your benevolence, you brought hope and calm where there was fear. I say again, this was more than diplomacy. This was an act of kinship. This was an act of shared humanity. This was an act of love. And this is one of the many reasons we are deeply proud to bestow upon you, Excellency, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Our nation's highest honor tomorrow will be conferred. We are all threads in the same human fabric, bound not by circumstance, but by compassion, resilience, and the timeless truths of our shared heritage. So, Honorable Prime Minister, let us continue this journey together as partners, as brother and sister, and as proud children of a most enduring heritage in history. This ocean of unity, this is our legacy, this is our love. Thank you, sir, and may our people continue to strive forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Srimati Kamala Prasad Bharati ji, for your words of inspiration and encouragement. As the Prime Minister exits the stage, the moment we have all been waiting for. Please join me in welcoming a visionary leader whose voice resonates across the globe, the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sri Narendra Modi ji. आसन पर जाइए. Please be seated.
Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bharati ji, members of the cabinet, all the dignitaries present today, members of the Indian diaspora, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar. Sitaram. Jai Shri Ram. Can you mark something? What a coincidence. It is a matter of immense pride and joy for me to be with all of you this evening. I thank Prime Minister Kamala ji for her wonderful hospitality and kind words. I arrived a short while ago in this beautiful land of hummingbirds. And my very first engagement is with the Indian community here. It feels completely natural. After all, we are part of one family. I thank you for your warmth and affection. Friends, I know that the journey of the Indian community in Trinidad and Tobago is about courage. The circumstances your ancestors faced would have broken even the strongest spirits, but they faced hardships with hope. They met problems with persistence. They left the Ganga and Yamuna behind, but carried the Ramayana in their hearts. They left their soil, but not their soul. They were not just migrants. They were messengers of a timeless civilization. Their contributions have benefited this country culturally, economically, and spiritually. Just look at the impact that you have all had on this beautiful nation. Kamala Prasad Bharati, as the first women Prime Minister of this country, Her Excellency Christine Carla Kangaluji as the female president. Late Sri Basdev Pandey, the son of a farmer, rose to become Prime Minister and a respected global leader. Eminent math scholar Rudranath Kapildev, music icon Sundar Popo, cricketing talent Darren Ganga, and Shivdas Sadhu, whose devotion built the temple in sea. The list of achievers goes on. You, the children of Girmitia, are not defined by struggle anymore. You are defined by your success, your service, and your values. Honestly, there must be something magical in the doubles and dal pudi. Because you have doubled the success of this great nation. Friends, when I last visited 25 years ago, we all admired the cover drives and pull shots of Lara. Today, it is Sunil Narayan and Nicholas Puran who ignite the same excitement in the hearts of our youth. Between then and now, our friendship has grown even stronger. Banaras, Patna, Kolkata, Delhi may be cities in India, but there are also names of streets here. Navratra, Mahashivratri, Janmashtami are celebrated here with joy, spirit and pride. Chautal and Baithak Gana continue to thrive here. I can see the warmth of many familiar faces here. And I see curiosity in the bright eyes of younger generation, keen to know and grow together. Truly, our bonds go well beyond geography and generations. Friends, I know of your deep faith in Prabhu Shri Ram. एक 180 साल बीतल हो, मन न भूलल हो, भजन राम के हर दिल में गुंजल हो. The Ram Leelas in Sandi Grandi and Dow Village are said to be the truly unique. Ramcharitmanas says, Ram Dhamda Puri Suhavani Lok Samast Vidit Ati Pavan. It means the holy city of Prabhu Sri Ram is so beautiful that its glory is spread across the world. I'm sure you all welcome the return of Ram Lala to Ayodhya after 500 years with great joy. We remember you had sent holy water and silas for building the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. I have also brought something here with a similar sense of devotion. It is my honor to bring a replica of Ram Mandir and some water. And water from the river Saryu in Ayodhya. Janmabhumi Mamapuri Suhavani. उत्तर दिशि बह सरजू पावनी जा मज्जनते बिनहि प्रयासा मम समीप नर पावहि बासा. Prabhu Sri Ram says that the glory of Ayodhya springs from the holy Saryu. Whoever takes a dip in its water finds eternal union with Sri Ram himself. सरयू जी और पवित्र संगम का ये जल आस्था का अमृत है. ये वो प्रवाहमान धारा है जो हमारे मूल्यों को, हमारे संस्कारों को हमेशा जीवंत रखती है. You all know that earlier this year, the world's largest spiritual gathering, the Mahakumbh, took place. I have the honor to carry water from the Mahakumbh also with me. I request Kamalaji to offer the holy waters of the Saryu river and Mahakumbh to the Ganga Dhara here. May this holy water bless the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Friends, we deeply value the strength and support of our diaspora. With over 35 million people spread across the world, the Indian diaspora is our pride. And I have often said, each one of you is a Rashtradoot, an ambassador of India's values, culture and heritage. This year, when we hosted the Prasar Bharati Divas in Bhubaneswar, Her Excellency President Christine Karla Kangaluji was our chief guest. A few years ago, Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bharati had also honored us with her presence. At the Prasar Bharati Divas, I announced several initiatives to honor and connect with the Girmitia community across the world. We are mapping the past and bringing people closer for the bright future. We are actively working on creating a comprehensive database of the Girmitia community, documenting the villages and cities in India from which their ancestors migrated. Identifying the places where they have settled, studying and preserving the legacy of the Girmitia ancestors, and working to organize World Girmitia conferences regularly. This will support the deep and historic ties with our brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago as well. Today, I am happy to announce that OCI cards will now be given to the 6th generation of the Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago. You are not just connected by blood or surname. You are connected by belonging. India looks out you. India welcomes you. And India embraces you. Friends, प्रधानमंत्री कमला जी के पूर्वज बिहार के बक्सर में रहा करते थे। कमला जी स्वयं वहां जाकर भी आई है। लोग इन्हें बिहार की बेटी मानते हैं। People in India consider Prime Minister Kamala ji as the daughter of Bihar. यहाँ उपस्थित अनेक लोगों के पूर्वज बिहार से ही आए हैं। बिहार की विरासत भारत के साथ ही दुनिया का भी गौरव है। लोकतंत्र हो, राजनीति हो, कूटनीति हो, हायर एजुकेशन हो, बिहार ने सदियों पहले दुनिया को ऐसे अनेक विषयों में नई दिशा दिखाई थी। मुझे विश्वास है 21वीं सदी की दुनिया के लिए भी बिहार की धरती से नई प्रेरणाएं, नए अवसर निकलेंगे। Like Kamala ji, there are many people here whose roots lie in Bihar. The heritage of Bihar is a matter of pride for all of us. Friends, I'm sure everyone among you feels proud when India grows. For New India, even the sky is not the limit. You all have must cheered when India's Chandrayaan landed on the moon. the place where it landed, we have named it Shiv Shakti Point. You must have also heard the news recently. An Indian astronaut is on board the International Space Station even as we speak. We are now working on a manned space mission Gaganyaan. The time is not far when an Indian will walk on the moon and India will have its own space station. हम अब तारों को सिर्फ गिनते नहीं हैं, आदित्य मिशन के रूप में उनके पास तक जाने का प्रयास करते हैं। हमारे लिए अब चंदा मामा दूर के नहीं है। हम अपनी मेहनत से असंभव को भी संभव बना रहे हैं। India's achievements in space are not just ours. We are sharing its fruits with the rest of the world. Friends, India is the fastest growing major economy in the world. Soon, we will be among the top 3 economies of the world. The fruits of India's growth and progress are reaching the most needy. भारत ने दिखाया है कि गरीबों को सशक्त करके, एम्पावर करके गरीबी को हराया जा सकता है। पहली बार करोड़ों लोगों में विश्वास जागा है कि भारत गरीबी से मुक्त हो सकता है। The World Bank has noted that India had lifted over 250 million people above extreme poverty in the last decade. India's growth is being powered by our innovative and energetic youth. Today, India is the 3rd largest startup hub in the world. Nearly half of these startups also have women as director. Nearly 120 startups have got unicorn status. National missions for AI, semiconductor, and quantum computing are becoming the new engines of growth. In a way, innovation is becoming a mass movement. India's Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, has revolutionized digital payments. Nearly 50% of the world's real-time digital transactions take place in India. 50%. I congratulate Trinidad and Tobago for being the first country in the region to adopt UPI. Now, sending money will be as easy as sending a good morning text message. And I promise it will be faster than West Indies bowling. Friends, our mission manufacturing is working to make in India a manufacturing hub. We have become the world's second largest mobile manufacturer. We are exporting railway locomotives to the world. Our defense exports have increased 20-fold in just the last decade. We are not just making in India, we are making for the world. As we grow, we are ensuring that it is of mutual benefit to the world. Friends, today's India is a land of opportunities. Whether it is businesses, tourism, education, or healthcare, India has a lot to offer. Your ancestors took a long and difficult journey over 100 days across the seas to reach here, Saat Samandar Par. Today, that same journey takes just a few hours. I encourage you all to visit India more in person, not just virtually on social media. Visit the villages of your ancestors. Walk the soil they walked on. Bring your children, bring your neighbors. Bring anyone who enjoys chai and a good story. We will welcome you all with open arms, warm hearts, and jalebi. With these words, I thank you all once again for the love and affection you have shown to me. I especially thank to Prime Minister Kamalaji for honoring me with your highest national award. बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद. नमस्कार. सीताराम. जय श्री राम.
Let's all stand. Thank you very much, Prime Minister Modi ji, for inspiring us with your words of deep commitment.
So you're watching the Indian Prime Minister's address to the diaspora in Port of Spain, the capital of Trinidad and Tobago, which, as you may remember, is the second leg of the Prime Minister's 5-nation tour of the Global South. He is visiting Trinidad and Tobago for 2 days, and he has just finished addressing the diaspora there in Port of Spain. Just to recap the big takeaways or highlights from that address of Prime Minister Modi, he spoke about the cultural and spiritual connection that exists between the peoples of the two countries, India and TNT. He spoke about the 35 million strong diaspora spread across the world, which he said is India's pride. And he says every member of the diaspora is India's ambassador, an ambassador of India's values and heritage. He announced that overseas Citizen of India cards will now be available to the 6th generation of the Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago. He also spoke about the origins of the Prime Minister of TNT, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Besesar, whose forefathers hail from Buxar in the northern Indian state of Bihar. And he concluded by thanking her, the Prime Minister of TNT, for bestowing the country's honor on him, which he will receive tomorrow in Port of Spain. Right, we still have with us our guests, Ambassador Sajjan and Professor Dubey, who have been patiently standing by while the PM delivered his address there. If I can go back to our guests, Ambassador Sajjan, your thoughts on the PM's address. What stood out for you in his half an hour long address?
Yeah, I think, really not standing by, I think enjoying every minute of it.
Indeed.
The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, she really spoke from her heart. It didn't appear as if it was, a statement that had been made and she was just reading it out. She truly felt what she said in terms of the welcome that she accorded to Prime Minister Modi, and said, that he's a world leader, he's a visionary leader, and we look up to him. So I think the setting of the stage was very appropriate when Prime Minister Kamala Bisesar said all those things. And of course, Prime Minister Modi was, his quintessential himself. When he spoke about what the progress that India had made over these years, and how India had emerged as one of the three largest economies, the fastest growing major economy, and all the manner in which India was reaching out to the world. As far as the relations with Trinidad and Tobago, again, he spoke very genuinely about the resilience and the courage that the forefathers of the current population of Trinidad and Tobago had shown when they had come here 180 years ago. The circumstances, the difficulties, the pain and the suffering that they had endured, but they had overcome all that through their resilience, through their courage. And this is truly, these are bonds between the two countries, between the two people. You mentioned about the Prime Minister's own, Prime Minister Kamala Bisesar's own background, coming from Buxar district in Bihar. And I think it is truly remarkable to see the progress that people we do here in terms of statistics, how well the country has done. But seeing this in action, the people there, and the confidence that they display, that is truly remarkable, that is truly commendable. And Trinidad and Tobago, this visit happening after more than a quarter century of the Indian Prime Minister, I think this is very significant. As it has been termed, it is a historic visit. And the reception that has been accorded to the Prime Minister has been truly wonderful. He's always received very well. But I think the fact that here we have a 40% plus Indian diaspora, and they have gone out of their way to welcome Prime Minister Modi, that is remarkable in terms of the respect that they have for India, also Indian culture, tradition, Charitmanas, everything. Ramesh.
Indeed, I'm afraid I'm running out of time. Professor Dubey, I'll leave it there. Apologies. We'll hope to touch base with you going forward. May I thank both our guests, Ambassador Sajjan and Professor Dubey, for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you all for your time. Much appreciated. And with that, it's a wrap on this special broadcast. But news continues here on DD India. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.